Welcome to my channel for the single mom. This is Adrienne Simons, and once again I want to remind you that you are a powerful creator. Today I want to talk about why it's so difficult. Why can't you say no? And before continuing, I just want to appreciate and thank you for sharing, subscribing, liking and commenting on my video. So when you are invited to friends or family and you don't want to go, but you feel this obligation, I have to go, I have this duty to go, you end up going, but it's not really what you want to do. Even at work, you're required maybe to do questionable things that's against your values, but you find that you just can't say no. No, I don't want to do that. Even with your children, they may ask you a favor, they may want a gift or money, and maybe you don't have the resources to give it to them. But because you can't say no, you end up putting yourself in a difficult position and doing it for them, and then feeling the build-up of resentment because you're doing things against your will. You find you just can't say no. It's very interesting to understand, where does this programming come from, where it's so difficult for us to say no? When you are a child, right from childhood, when you obey, mom and dad will appreciate you, give you approval, give you acceptance. When you obey your teachers, they give you approval, they give you acceptance. When you obey your boss at work, when you are doing what your spouse asks you to do, whenever you go along, whenever you are obeying, whenever you are complying with requests from people, you find that they give you their approval, they'll give you their appreciation, they give you their acceptance. The moment you stop being compliant, they withdraw their approval, they withdraw their appreciation, they withdraw their acceptance. Now, when it comes to acceptance, appreciation and approval, we tend to equate that with love. So the withdrawal of these qualities on us or from us, when people withdraw that, we feel that we are losing love. And obviously, we are dependent on love. We cannot live without love. And so that is why, for us, it feels like a matter of survival, a matter of life and death, when love is being taken away or withdrawn from us. And remember when your parents were disapproval, can you still picture their disapproving faces? It felt painful. It felt like, And you don't want to expose yourself to that painful feeling again. And so what ends up happening is, when it comes to parents, authority figures, people we love, we say to ourselves, and it happens subconsciously, I don't want to lose love. I don't want to lose their appreciation, their approval, their acceptance. So it's better for me to comply. However, appreciation, acceptance and approval, when people give it to you, they're not necessarily giving you love. In that moment, because you are complying, they are giving you that approval. But the moment you stop complying, they stop giving you that approval. And love is always unconditional. In other words, irrespective of what you are doing, when people love you, they will continue to love you, irrespective of your behavior or what you said or what you did. That is unconditional love. So it's important to not confuse the giving of or the receiving of approval and acceptance and appreciation. Don't confuse that with love. It's not love. But it's good to understand the programming. You understand now where that comes from. So you feel a dependency to comply because you don't want to be in pain by losing love. And that is quite understandable. So why is it that when you continue complying with people's requests, whether it's at work, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your parents or family, why is it with your continued compliance do you start to feel that buildup of resentment? Do you feel discontent and unhappy? The reason is actually because the programming that you had as a child doesn't work now for you as an adult. Continued compliance is not going to bring you happiness. Continued compliance is not going to bring you contentment. The reason for that is you have come and evolved to the stage where you need to realize my happiness does not come from complying with people's request to get their approval or to get their appreciation or to get the acceptance. I need to be the one that gives myself acceptance, approval, appreciation. So happiness and contentment, we have to realize, comes from self-acceptance, self-appreciation, self-approval, self-respect. So what you need to realize is that yes, we cannot live without love, but love is not something to get from the outside. Love is something that we generate from the inside. It's a spiritual quality that we generate from the inside and that we give ourselves. There's a saying in the Bible, there is more happiness in giving than in receiving. And the giving that it's talking about refers to spiritual qualities. When you give love, whether it's to yourself or to a family member or a loved one, whenever you are giving that love, you are the one that's first going to receive it. Whenever you are giving appreciation to someone, you are the first one to receive it. Whenever you are giving acceptance to someone, you are the first person to receive it. Whenever you are giving approval to someone, you are the first person to receive it. So can you see the importance of giving these qualities, whether to yourself or to someone else? It's only by giving that you are able to receive it. And that is where your happiness and contentment will come from, not from people on the outside giving you these qualities. So it's a very, very important thing to realize, and that empowers you so much, because now people cannot leverage and manipulate you in the sense of, if you don't do this for me, then I withdraw my approval, then I withdraw my appreciation. So comply or else. They don't have that leverage over you anymore. Now you come from a place of power. Whatever it is that you're doing for someone, you're doing it for them. Why? Because it feels good to do it. You're not doing things against your will anymore. You do it because it feels good to you. Isn't that a better place to come from? Isn't that a better way to do relationships with people? Absolutely. Definitely. 100% for sure. So the other aspect to this of how you generate these qualities of love and approval and appreciation, you generate that inside of yourself. But how does that process work? When we go a little bit deeper, you realize you need to connect with yourself regularly so that you can generate these qualities. And then you need to also connect with the source of those qualities. That, of course, would be the divine, whether you call it the universe, higher consciousness, divinity, whatever you choose to call it. You also need to connect to that source. That is the source of all pure energy. And as you connect with that source, it's like they say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is so true. And so it's important also for that 5 people or 5 energetic beings to include source. Because when you connect a lot with someone, do you find that you can finish one another's sentences? You tend to be on the same page. You have these inside jokes. You just get one another. And you do that because you spend a lot of time with one another. And you spend a lot of time with one another because you have a connection. And in the same way, we need to build that connection with source. And you do that within your meditation, where you're connecting to yourself and then you're connecting with source. It's like being an electrical appliance that plugs in and now can draw the electricity. So you're plugging into source, and as you plug in, it's as if there's like this telepathy happening. As you are contemplating the qualities of source, you are tuning into the energy of source. As you are contemplating the character of source, source is love, source is respect, source is joy, source is bliss. As you're tuning into those qualities, you are also downloading and receiving that energy. You are tuning into that energy, you're becoming familiar with that energy, and in the process you're also downloading that energy and recharging yourself. And that is what gives you the ability to, on a daily basis and throughout your day, to be able to, with that downloaded energy, create pure, beautiful thoughts from that energy, which then energizes you, radiates out to you, radiates out to the people around you. And like I've said before, you are not the beggar of any spiritual qualities like love and approval and appreciation. You become the giver of it. You are that powerful source of giver, of being the giver instead of the beggar. The other aspect to this is to realize that when you are fully charged like this and you realize that I give myself love, I give myself appreciation, I give myself approval, I actually don't need anything from anyone. When you come from that space and people are making requests to you, you want to keep in mind that when you say no, you should do it from a space of compassion, from a place of power. And you say no, not from a disturbed state where you are reacting and say, I don't want to do this anymore. No, that's not the energy we're talking about. That kind of energy is not coming from a powerful place. That kind of energy is reactive, and it comes from a place of disempowerment. The no that we are talking about is all about the energy of being assertive. So your mind is not disturbed. You just know that it is in the interest of this relationship for you to rather say no to the request. Because if you say yes to the request and you are not fully on board with complying with the request, it is in both your interest, your interest and the other party's interest, to rather not do it. Sometimes you may need an hour, a day or two to come on board with that request, fully on board. If you can bring yourself fully on board with the request, then when you say yes, you're saying it from a place that is powerful. Yes, I want to do it. I want to do it because I know this will make you happy. And I realize that if you are happy, that makes me happy. And I like being happy. That is all good and well. You're coming from a powerful place when you say yes. But you're not saying yes so that they can be happy and now you are unhappy. That's not what we're talking about. Because when you say yes to someone at the expense of saying no to yourself, that is not a powerful place to come from. That is not the right, the accurate way to go about doing the assertive no. So be very clear about that different energetic to the no that you are saying. You do not have to be leveraged with people saying, I'm going to withdraw my approval and appreciation and acceptance if you don't do this, because you know you can give those qualities to yourself, you can give love to yourself. But at the same time, when you say no, you're not doing it from a place where you're feeling resentful. You're doing it from a powerful place where you know, this is not going to work for me. I'm going to feel resentful if I do this. The best thing I can do is to say no. And then you say no. Or you say no, not at this moment. Let me think about it. Or you say no, I'll get back to you. And then you get back to the person. And whether you've decided to do it or not to do it is totally up to you. But the point is, the no comes from a place of power. It does not come from a place of disempowerment. Now imagine that you are demonstrating being assertive to your children. They are going to, without you having to tell them this is what you're doing, they will be able to observe you. They will be able to absorb this example. And they will take this in their life. So whenever there's any kind of peer pressure where people are saying, you know, smoke, drink, or take drugs, or, you know, participate in this behavior, because if you don't, you will lose our acceptance. If you don't, you will lose our approval. Your child has observed that you cannot be leveraged and manipulated. They pick this up from you. And now when they are out there in the world, you can sit with a heart that trusts, knowing that your child knows they are not dependent on anyone's approval and acceptance. They realize from looking at your example that they only need their own approval, their own acceptance, and self-love from themselves. And that relationship with themselves, as well as the relationship with Source, where they download all of these qualities for themselves. Children are smart. You set the example, and they will follow. So what you are becoming then is emotionally free. An emotionally free and independent being is a powerful being. And when you are operating from this place of power, you are free to be yourself, to express yourself. You give up all pretense. There's no need to pretend to be something you are not. You can just be yourself. So what's going to help you on this journey is also my program, Embody Your True Nature. Currently it's for free, so you can download it in the description below. Please continue sharing, subscribing, liking and commenting on my video. And thank you so much for your time. I look forward to our next video.